To Engage 8, the daily segment brought to you by the members of the Blitz podcast, bringing you 8 minutes of the hardest hitting NFL news from the day today, or just stuff we want to talk about in general that's going around the league. So considering we only have 8 minutes, let's dive right into it. And we literally just had some huge news drop just now out of Cincinnati, and it is not good. Ja'Marr Chase is now out 4 to 6 weeks, according to Adam Schefter. He could possibly be headed to the IR, which would be even worse for the Bengals. I mean, we just finished our power rankings last night. We put the Bengals at 4. What does this mean for them for the next 4 to 6 weeks? And does it change their outlook for you?
Possibly. I look at it, if you're a T. Higgins owner, or if you're a Ja'Marr Chase owner, you better go get T. Higgins. Like, T. Higgins is about to blow up. And we touched on it during our Studs and Duds episode with Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd becomes a hot commodity now as well in this offense. Hayden Hurst probably is going to be utilized a little bit more as well. So the fallout of this is that there's 3 other receiving options that are now going to get an extra boost in fantasy and in fantasy rankings. As far as the Bengals' outlook on the season, I haven't really dove into their schedule much. I know that this week they got the Browns, and they got the Panthers, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, and Browns again in the next 6 weeks. So if he's able to maybe come back after 4 weeks, it would be right there at that Chiefs game. I believe, yes. Yep. No. They have a bye in between. So they go Browns, Panthers, bye, Steelers, and then Titans. So 4 weeks will be that Steelers game. That'll be that 4th week. And then they have the Titans and Chiefs. So if he could come back for that Chiefs game, I think that would be something that they could, if he can come back by then, they're definitely going to be in okay shape, because I look at it in those 3 games that he's definitely going to miss between the Browns, the Panthers, and the Steelers. I still think this team can go 2-1, maybe even 3-0 still, but I still think that they can at the least go 2-1. So if there is a time for him to get injured, it's probably now. You don't want it any later, and you probably didn't want it any sooner. So kind of a good situation in that regard. Obviously, this is never a good situation though.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the next 4 to 6 weeks with Cincy. But let's talk about some of the other stuff coming across the wire today. And we had another trade happen, man, leading up to the trade deadline, and that is Kadarius Toney headed to the Kansas City Chiefs. Former first-round draft pick just 2 years ago out of Florida. The Giants took him. He was my waiver wire pickup of the year last year after his big breakout game against the Cowboys. And then he's pretty much banged up for the rest of the year, so never really comes to light. And now they seem to have really found something in Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson. Hold on. Over there in New York, so they move on from a guy like Kadarius Toney, send him to KC for 3rd and a 6th round pick this year. What do you think, man? Do we expect a lot from Toney this week, and what do you expect from him going forward?
Well, I don't think you're going to get anything out of him this week. Absolutely nothing. He's not going to play a single snap because the Chiefs are on a bye.
Oh, fuck. Fuck, okay. But this is the kind of great observation you come to this Engage 8 for, but continue.
Moving past this week, what can you expect with him? I mean, he's not going to go above Juju on the depth chart. Maybe he goes above Mecole just because I think he's got more cross-the-middle ability than Mecole does have. And in regards to Valdez-Scantling, I think that they probably play 2 complete opposite games at the wide receiver position. So I think he could fit in pretty well, playing as a wide receiver 2, maybe wide receiver 3 in this offense. I still worry about this guy's injuries, though. I mean, if the Chiefs are trading, what was it, a 3rd and a 6th rounder, I think you said? Like, they got to know something that we don't, in the fact that this guy is coming back and there's not going to be any lingering issues. Because if you're giving up that much capital to go ahead and get this guy, you're expecting this guy to come back, because they're no longer going after Odell Beckham or DJ Moore, anybody like that. This is who they're saying, okay, this is the guy that's going to get us to the Super Bowl. And maybe he does. I mean, I think that if he's on the waiver, I'd go get him. In a pass-happy offense, why not take a flyer on him?
Oh, absolutely. If he's available on your waiver wire, I just checked all of my leagues and he's not available in any of them anymore. But if
I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah, if he's available in any of your leagues, definitely jump on that. But as far as Toney goes, I feel like he'll be a lot. I'm a Toney truther over here, man. I think he'll be a lot more effective than we might think he will. I don't think it was a lot of capital to give up for a guy like Kadarius Toney. I mean, if you're taking in consideration the injuries, sure, but you're basically trading for a first round pick.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say is, where the talent is. Can the guy stay healthy? It's going to be the question.
Yeah, for sure. But he's I feel like he fits perfect in KC just because he does give off those Tyreek Hill playmaker kind of vibes. They will be able to do some special things with Kadarius Toney. It almost makes me think why they didn't draft him in the first place, reach up and draft for him in the first place. But
because they had Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, probably. But now no more Tyreek, so they bring in a guy to help him out on the offensive side of the ball. But this trade deadline is obviously not over, man. It's been probably the most active trade deadline that I've seen in my entire life.
So far, you mentioned Toney, Robert Quinn, McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, James Robinson, even a low-key one in Jonathan Hankins going from the Raiders to the Cowboys. And we still got till Tuesday, man. We've got all of this weekend. I don't know if you're going to hear of any rumblings, going into Sunday. Or on Sunday per se, just because teams are going to be playing. But that Monday after on Halloween, it's spooky season for sure in the NFL because there's still a bunch of targets that are still out there. Guys on the Panthers might be traded. I know that you might want to touch on this. The Alvin Kamara news coming out about him, possibly the Eagles looking at getting him in a trade. As an Alvin Kamara owner, I hate that because the way they use the running backs, it's just basically series by series, it seems like. So, it's really interesting to sit here and say, okay, we're still 6 days away from the deadline, and all this has already happened.
I know, that's the truth. It's absolutely bizarre. But you mentioned it, Kamara. That's an interesting rumor that came across today. Wasn't put out on really any major Twitter accounts, but I saw from multiple Twitter accounts that the Eagles were really interested in trading for Christian McCaffrey when he was available. They offered a third-round pick and did not end up getting him, obviously. But Kamara would be very interesting. I didn't even think of him as a trade candidate until I saw it.
Because you look at the NFC South and they're one game out of the division. I mean, it's so crazy. And the Panthers, same thing. They traded McCaffrey. They win a game. They're one game out. If the Panthers win this week, the Ravens win this week, and the Raiders win this week, meaning the Ravens beat the Bucks, the Raiders beat the Saints, and the Panthers beat the Falcons. Panthers are in first place. How crazy is that to think about?
That division is a shit show. That's why you can't throw the Bucks away too fast, because they still lead the division right now at 3 and 4.
Exactly.
So bizarre, but that just about does us for 8 minutes of hard-hitting news for the day in our Engage 8 segment. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.